I know many of you take your gummies before watching my video. I am truly sorry for the level of paranoia I'm about to give you. Could tonight be the last night that you see the world around you for the reality that it is? There is something that's called DPDR that can happen to anyone at any given moment, and it will change your life forever. I did not know that this had actually happened to me a long time ago. I just knew that something was severely wrong. I watched an interview where Post Malone talked about his experience with being diagnosed with DPDR, which stands for depersonalization derealization disorder. It's where your brain literally disconnects its consciousness with your body, and it's like you're watching your life through a movie, through a third person point of view, and it is no longer I'm doing things. It's almost like you are looking at they are doing things, talking about your own body, because you're watching from the outside, looking down. This can happen for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it can just naturally happen to anyone without any warning or anything going wrong in your life. Now, for Post Malone, he talks about how he had done some bad drugs, and that's what happened to him, because this is triggered when your brain goes through an overwhelming anxiety, an overwhelming trauma, an overwhelming stress that it wasn't prepared to happen. So if your life is just gradually getting bad, that's not what's going to happen. It's a sudden traumatic trauma. Some people that witness a murder, it happens to them. Some people find out that maybe their husband or wife has been cheating on them for a long time, and they just realize that their whole life is about to be uprooted and changed. The way it happened to me was I took a gummy. And I had taken gummies before. This was a long time ago. This was years and years ago. I'd actually taken gummies out of this same bag before. But one of the gummies, I'm guessing, was laced with something, and it had to have happened at a factory. If you look this up, this thing can happen. And I took this gummy, and I didn't know that the next few years of my life were going to be completely and overwhelmingly changed. And it still affects me to this day, and it's been 10 plus years. So what happens is I take this gummy, it's normal at first, but about an hour and a half into it, I don't know how to describe this. There's not, because the things I saw were so intangible. And this was just weed, okay? This was just typical weed gummies. There was no mixing or lacing with anything else. I've always been a pretty straight-laced person. And this was definitely not like anything that had ever happened before. The next thing I know, I'm coming in and out of reality. And it felt like I was dreaming while I was awake, and that is a weird thing to say. I don't mean hallucinations or like you were seeing things that are not there. I don't know how to put it in words for you all, but I'll do it this way. It felt like my life was blocks, and each block, imagine if you're a little kid and you're building with blocks. Each block was a different memory of my life, but all the blocks were jumbled up, and I couldn't not only remember where I was, I could not remember when I was. I could not remember in this moment if I was a 7-year-old child looking into my future, or if I was a 90-year-old man looking into my past, or if I was me in my mid-30s, right now. I couldn't tell if I was me in my early 20s like I actually was at the time that this happened. I just know that nothing made sense, and I remembered everything perfectly, but I could not remember where in my timeline it had happened. The best I can describe it is it was what I imagine people with Alzheimer's go through, but I was aware that it was happening. So when I snap back to reality for a second, I'm in my bathroom, laying on my side, hugging my toilet. And I didn't know how I'd got there. I didn't know if I was in a memory at this moment still, because I thought I'd snapped out of it. But when I go to stand up, my mind tricked me and said, no, you're still in that. You're still in those memory, movie, dream things. This isn't real either. So then I started screaming out loud. I was like, someone help me. I don't know when I am. I don't know when I am. Not I don't know where I am. I knew where I was, but I was so confused. And I remember seeing other people and going, is this real? Are you right now? Are you now? And they were obviously very confused and had no idea what I was talking about. And I imagine when you see people at a psychiatric ward, this is what their mind does permanently. And I looked it up, it can happen with no cause whatsoever. It could just happen right now. But it mostly is an extreme trauma induced or drug induced. And it terrified me to no end. And it took me It felt like that, like I was only going through this for about 2 hours, but it felt like I went through it for literally years. And like the next day when I came out of it, when I had gone to bed and I woke up, I literally had a problem with reality for like 2 years almost. Like I knew that I was real and I knew everything was fine, but like when I would think about things, I would second guess myself, was like, was that this morning or was that 3 days ago? Was that a memory that happened recent or did that happen a long time ago? Because there was such a void, because like that 2 hour time span, it felt like it had taken literally years. So anything before that happened felt like it was a lifetime ago. So I was getting very confused, and I didn't know what was going on. I was afraid to seek out help for it. And then I see Post Malone talking about this years and years later, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was going through. And it made me really struggle with a lot of things for a while, because I would I'd be doing chores, or like I'd be at work or driving my car, just whatever. And in my head, just like a light bulb, it'd go, nothing really matters. This is all an illusion. And then I would go into like this deep, like just dark place for a minute. And then I would snap out of it a few minutes later. And that persisted for literally years. 4 years that would happen. Like I would just be walking around, living my life, and just bam, this is an illusion. This isn't real. This isn't what you think it is. You're probably already dead, and this is just all a dreamland that you're in. Like there was so many things like that would just pop, and I truly did not know what it was. I thought I was going insane. And just over time, it started going away, but it scared me so bad that I said, hey, like I am scared straight on any kind of anything else. I don't want to touch nothing, you know? And until that happens to you, I cannot stress how scary it was. And I've listened to people talk about DMT. I've listened to people talk about, acid and mushrooms and all this other stuff. And it doesn't, when they talk about that, it does not sound like what they were talking about. But when I saw Post Malone's interview, and he was talking about how he actually got diagnosed with that DPDR because of a bad drug trip, it was like, that's what happened to me. Like what he described sounded so familiar. And just know that can happen to you at any time. And most people just get labeled insane and get thrown away. It's a really scary thought that something could happen to you and surprise you, and your brain automatically takes that defense mechanism. Now, it is incredibly, incredibly rare, apparently. And I'm lucky that I had it as mild as what I did. But it horrified me to no end because of that. And I've told a few people about this, and they always like laugh it off and go, oh, you got greened out. You took too much gummy. I'm like, brother, no, it's like I said, I tried to describe it the best I could to you just now. It is still not something that I can put into words, what I experienced in a time loop in my own head, all while I was just sitting in the bathroom floor of my house, apparently. So if you have kids or teenagers that are like doing drugs and you're worried they're going to do drugs, just show them this video, because, weed is obviously, THC is the simplest drug that's out there. And I had done it before. I'd done it many times before this. This one time was all it took to horrify me against touching anything in the future. And if you've already had your gummy tonight, I am truly sorry. If you like these stories, don't forget to follow our podcast. It's called Matt from Nomads on Spotify and Apple Podcast. It's called Nomads Animal Reserve on YouTube.